Okay, so maybe I judged this new chapter a little bit too harshly because I'm just so sick and tired of this arc specifically in the manga. Like, I don't like the fact that we're just stretching this out as long as possible and it just feels disingenuous. But I mean, the beginning part of this is actually really gas. It is pretty badass because we get Piccolo just being a complete and utter monster here, and just like in the movie where he goes blow for blow, bar for bar with Cell Max, the exact same thing here happens in the manga, but in this, Piccolo is actually like, he's actually giving it a little bit fairer of a shot than it was in the movie, because in the movie he was getting his ass stomped. In here though, he's actually pretty agile and he's getting a few licks in. The fight starts off with Piccolo telling Gohan to charge and he's going to bide him some time, I think, and if I remember correctly from the last chapter, Gohan's charging up for some reason. I actually don't remember what it was, but Piccolo runs in, rips off his shirt, and like he is heading straight towards Cell Max, and he literally, as he grabs him, this is how you can tell Cell Max is not an actual like warrior, because he couldn't stop Piccolo from grabbing his head. Like usually in a situation like this, they usually grab each other's hands because they're both trained warriors, but Piccolo actually was able to get the one up on him. But it doesn't matter because Cell Max is a lot stronger than Piccolo regardless of how big Piccolo got, and when he kicks Piccolo, like he absolutely kicks him with his size 25 or 50 Timberlands, and this catches Piccolo completely off guard as Cell Max comes back in again with another haymaker, and then shoulder checks him, punches him, uppercuts him, and then hits him with his tail not once but twice. Like, he is beating Piccolo down, and Piccolo knows that Gohan is soft, and he knows that Gohan's going to be not focusing on his own ki like his father would. Like, if it was Goku would have stared at Piccolo get his ass beat for at least a good 30-40 minutes. He did the same thing with Vegeta and not lose focus, but he knows Gohan's gonna lose focus immediately, so he has to yell at him like, no, you gotta focus your ki, you gotta get it charged up. And I can't remember for the life of me why Gohan is charging up his ki. That's how forgettable these chapters are, because in the movie he kind of just, it was like up to Piccolo to fight Cell Max. Gohan wasn't part of that plan. So this is what I'm talking about here. So Piccolo's like, time to take this up a notch, and he rushes Cell Max and hits him right in the face. This is enough to basically push Cell Max back. So he did get his lick in. I think something very similar like that happened in the movie, but it was cut short to Piccolo getting his ass whooped. And in this, Piccolo kind of does. He gets hit by the tail. That's the advantage of having that extra appendage. It's just going to be something you have to look out for. And then Cell Max comes in with like a form, a technique that looks like something that he's been trained for. Maybe he's got residual training from the DNA, because remember, Cell Max is supposed to be the culmination, or Cell is supposed to be the culmination of all these warriors' DNA and fighting techniques and fighting styles. And yeah, Cell Max is kind of that, but like way more erratic and way more monstrous. So everyone's kind of seeing the writing on the wall at this point that Piccolo's not really giving any more to this fight. He's basically, you know, he's basically at his limit physically with all his strength. He's just not going to be able to give any more. And I actually commend Toyotaro on these panels, because I can only imagine if Akira Toriyama got tired of drawing Cell's spots. I mean, Toyotaro would have to know firsthand right now how it's like having to draw Cell Max's spots every single panel. And it's strange because Cell Max is so much bigger and Piccolo is so much bigger than everybody else, so you have to take that into account with each frame. So you can't have it where one frame somebody looks bigger or smaller than the other one, you know, where their sizes don't match up. And so basically up to this point, everything's very consistent. Everybody else tries to jump in to alleviate some of what's going on with Cell Max beating the shit out of Piccolo, and it's not really going very well. I mean, to the point where my baby Bay 18, Android 18, she gets hit with the nub. Like, look at this. Like, she gets backhanded with an invisible hand. It's just the nub of Cell Max's already gone hand. And then Cell Max goes in for the kill because he realizes that Android 18 is easy pickings at this point, and Krillin runs in to try to save her, and he kind of takes the full blow from Cell Max, which, I'll be completely honest, this should have killed both of them because of how strong Cell Max actually is compared to them. Like, especially Krillin. This should have actually broke every single bone in Krillin's body, and I'm surprised it didn't. Like Piccolo and Gohan should be really the only ones physically, maybe even Gotenks, that can kind of handle some of the ass whooping that is coming from Cell Max. Everybody else here, it should be a one shot and done. And Krillin and 18 should not be able to walk off the ground after this. Like, they need to have sensu beans to heal themselves a little bit after this, because this is like a devastating blow. It just doesn't make any sense for them. I mean, look at the way Cell Max kind of rears back for this. Like, you know, with all these lines going, he's giving it his all. This should be a KO 100% Mortal Kombat finisher right here for both of them. Oh, and I forgot, Gamma 1 is also one that should be able to handle some of these attacks, because remember, he is Super Saiyan Blue level, which I know what you guys are thinking, but yeah, he's Super Saiyan Blue level. He should be able to handle this. This tail's gonna be a problem. The fact that this tail is causing this much of an issue, to me, means that Cell could have used his own tail in a very similar way, but he tried not to. He tried to pull himself so far away from being a monster and so far away from being a creature like the original first form Cell that he wouldn't use that tail, but that tail comes in handy. And as we see the battlefield here, exactly what I said happened. I mean, even after this though, Krillin and 18 should not be able to like get up after this, but everybody's kind of done. Even Gamma 1 is also done. So it's up to Piccolo and Gohan at this point, and with Gohan being the only one charging up right now and trying to get his bearings, Piccolo is literally the only defense the Earth has against Cell Max at this point. Like, this is what I'm saying. This is exactly what I'm saying, because some of these scenes right here we didn't get in the movie, so I'm actually very thankful, and I have to give Toyotaro a little bit of credit here, maybe a lot of credit, because look how good this scene looks. This actually makes Cell Max looks pretty badass. Even his shoes, like his shoes don't look goofy in this. Like, he actually looks really straight. The fact that Piccolo caught this, how strong Cell Max actually is. I mean, you can take a look at it, like comparatively the size between Piccolo and Cell Max in this. Like, Cell Max is literally a tank. He is very bulky. Like, he is just so thick. He's just so thick and bulky. Piccolo is too, but not to the same levels as Cell Max in this picture. Like, there is a complete obvious difference in their size. And Piccolo even comes in and he uses, so Cell Max has been using this tail the entire time, and you can see here in the bottom he tries to use the tail again because Piccolo's got his leg, but Piccolo catches the tail mid combat, mid hold, and then uses his own body to smack the shit out of Cell Max. Honestly, and I'll be completely honest, it's like almost like a mace at this point, like almost like a medieval mace. This could have knocked out Cell Max. That would have been cool to see. That would have been like a what if, like a different direction for this. What if Cell Max actually got knocked out by his own tail? Like, that would have given Gohan enough time, but then Piccolo would not be in the trouble that he needed to be for Gohan to go into his Blanco state. And here we come up to the transformation sequence, and this is kind of what I've been excited to see the entire time, one of the dopest parts in the movie. And then he throws Piccolo up in the air, and this is where he uses, I'm assuming, what's going to be his finisher. Don't know how Cell Max is going to be implemented in a fighter game like, say, Fighters or Budokai Tenkaichi 4, because he's so massive. They may have to shrink him down, or they may make him as big as, remember, like the Ozaru from Tenkaichi 3? Like, maybe they'll make him that big. But this could be his finisher right here, where he, like, you know, throws you up in the air and uses this to kind of blast you with a volley of his deadly and very overwhelming ki, and that would be the end of you. So when Piccolo is getting blasted like this, it's the exact same scene from the movie, and Gohan's definitely not paying attention or focusing anymore on building his ki. He is completely just so in shock that this is happening to Piccolo so quickly, something that he can't even help at all. And so Cell Max is about to use the technique that he was going to use against Gohan in the movie. He's about to use it on Piccolo, which is a change. I mean, it's a pretty decent one, because it kind of gives a big gravity to the situation that, you know, Piccolo's about to die, basically. And he will be disintegrated by this attack, and just Gohan's face says it all. And everybody kind of realizes, like, this is basically the end of Piccolo, because Cell Max is going to destroy him with this giant supernova ball, which I mean, this actually could be the finisher also, but I like that they changed this from the movie, because in the movie Piccolo was just getting his ass beat, and then that was enough to push Gohan to transform. Right now we have imminent danger to Piccolo's whole existence on this planet, so I like this change a lot. Okay, so what is going on here? So Gamma 1 decides to stop the attack himself. It looks like that's what just happened. So the attack is heading toward Piccolo, and Gamma 1 just like, nah, I got this, fam. And the explosion, it looks like it takes both of them out, to the point where I don't know why Cell Max has his eyes closed here, but Gohan is looking at the destruction or the remnants of his friend. And so we don't really get to see what happens here. I don't know why this added layer is put into this manga. The only reason that this would be here is that maybe Toyotaro didn't believe that, you know, Piccolo getting beat like he was getting beat was enough to push Gohan into this transformation. So seeing Piccolo die is enough to make him transform, but Piccolo doesn't have to die because Gamma 1 sacrificed himself. So now we don't have any of the Gammas in the future of the manga, because maybe he didn't want them to be in the future of the manga, which I don't know. I'm just getting confused now. Now it's just, to me, let's see what happens. But we get to the iconic scene where Gohan is in transformation. I kind of said a little bit about this when the leaks first came out, but I like the way this looks 100%. I think that the intensity, the rawness of the situation, everything, the transformation itself, the sequence, everything's caught really well. And I even like the way that the scene looks just in him being already transformed. I do think that in the manga, the long hair, it looks goofier than it did in the 3D movie. I think that in the 3D movie it kind of worked because it was like a cool, we don't get it for very long, we don't have to stare at it for very long, so it looks like really, really cool. But in this, it just looks like again, like those memes of like, I'm Super Saiyan 150, and then it's like just Goku with like so much hair, like you can't even see him basically. Like that's kind of what it looks like. But Gohan does look sleek. His eyebrows look a little bit more different. He looks a little bit more intense, and Cell Max actually runs in and punches Gohan, and this scene was in the movie, so I mean this is just something that we've already seen, but it looks really cool in the manga as well. And so honestly, this should give you the overall reason as to why Gohan is the most powerful now, because you know, he just blocked Cell Max, who was literally ruining everyone's day in the Z Fighter Corps, like just completely dominating everybody, and they needed to like do so much just to take out his hand and to crack his skull, and Gohan easily takes the full punch of his attack and then punches or kicks him in the stomach, knocking him back, like really far back. Like he is way stronger than Cell Max, who seemingly is a character that would be stronger than Goku and Vegeta. So, and we know it is stronger than Orange Piccolo. So Gohan is at the top of the food chain right now in the manga. And honestly, it makes me think if like Gas had wished for him to be the strongest, or even Granola after this arc, they would have to be stronger than Gohan is right here. So I'm wondering who would win in a fight between this version of Gohan versus Gas. I want to make a poll on that, because Gas still had the abilities that he had, and just kind of like the different, you know, types of attacks, and just him being stronger than everybody else at the time. So maybe he can wear down Gohan, maybe he can't. But this is where we get the reveal that Piccolo is alive, and the reason that Piccolo is alive is because Gamma 1 shielded him from the attack shielded his heart seemingly, and he used his force field to shield him, which in reality, if this attack was as big as what it looked like, it probably would have disintegrated everything around Piccolo. So all we'd be seeing would be like a chunk of his torso behind Gamma 1, and that would be all that would be left after him. Cell Max is unhappy with the way the situation is turning out at this point, and remember, Cell Max is still a big ass baby. He just was born a few minutes ago, and so he doesn't understand what's going on. He actually ends up creating a huge supernova, same as the movie, literally the exact same scene, same thing as the movie, except at this point in this scene, in this panel, we get to see how big the ball actually is, and it's almost creating like a hurricane around it. Like you can see it from space, and you can see it in the entire planet. That's how big this supernova ball is actually in its entirety. But this part always, I mean, in the movie it floats so well, it didn't give me a chance to really think about it. But in this scene right here, where Piccolo goes to hold Cell Max in place, like, I don't understand. Like, I'm trying to think why he would do that. Would he do that because he knew Gohan was going to use the special beam cannon, and he was trying to hold him in place, similar to how Goku held, what's-his-face, Raditz in place, so Piccolo could use it? Or was Cell Max going to go higher into the air into the stratosphere and shoot the ball down, and it would have been harder to stop him if he was up in space, because Cell Max seemingly can breathe in space because he does have that Frieza DNA, so maybe it'd be harder for him, so maybe that's why Piccolo stopped him from doing that. It's unclear, it's unsure, I don't know. All I know is that I do like the fact that Piccolo's still about the fight. Like, he's like, nah, I'm gonna help as long as I can. So Piccolo tells Gohan to do it, so he definitely knows that he has an attack that can kill Cell Max. So Piccolo knows that Gohan can use Special Beam Cannon, basically. And actually, this is one of my favorite parts in the movie, and I'm glad they have it here, is where Cell Max is kind of like stuck there with Piccolo holding him down, and so even though he can fly, he can't move out of his way. So once he realizes that Gohan is charging up an attack that could possibly kill him, he ends up like moving his wings like a bug, similar to what bugs do, because now he's going into his primal feelings, and he knows that, like, oh yeah, I need to get the fuck out of here or else this guy's gonna kill me. Now this is a really badass scene. So the wings themselves are pulling Cell Max so far away from the mark that it's really hurting Piccolo. Like, Piccolo can't hold him still. That is when Gamma 1 comes in and blows off one of his wings, and then Krillin comes in with the Destructo Disc and does the exact same thing, kind of damaging the wing enough. And 18 comes in and breaks it in half. This is enough to stop Cell Max from moving, and Piccolo actually gets much closer, wrapping his whole arms and everything around Cell Max to hold him in place, so Gohan can use Special Beam Cannon, which he does not get to use. Are they going to make the entire next chapter him using Special Beam Cannon, or is it going to be like the beginning of it where he kills Cell Max and we get to see like Dr. Hito going with Bulma and everything that happens afterward? I don't know. To be honest, I really like the changes that they've made to this. There are some things that are glaring things that make it like seem like they're just stretching everything as long as they can to end the year with Superhero, but I like some of the changes in this. I like the artwork. I think that Toyotaro really took a massive undertaking to create this into a manga. I really like the way and direction this is going. Can't wait to see the next chapter and see exactly how this ends.
Subscribe for more content.